Thanks for staying with us. I'm Bill O'Reilly in a Weekdays with Bernie segment tonight. Let's get right to the purveyor of BernardGoldberg.com, who joins us from Miami. All right. First up, media reaction to the Trump interview. Anything catch your eye?
Yes. I was absolutely stunned by the amount of coverage given to the interview. I could be wrong about this, but I think there was more coverage of your interview than when Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. I may be a little off on that. It was all over the place and in very important places. It was on the networks, the New York Times, Washington Post, all over the internet, of course. But there was one thing, one thread that ran through almost all of the stories that I either read or saw, and that is the interview, Bill, was covered as entertainment, as a show, not as politics. Donald Trump is running for president of the United States, but it was covered like fight night on the Fox News channel or shootout at the OK Corral. Listen, I've used this term before, and forgive me for using it again, but in the United States of entertainment, and that's where we live, whether we like it or not, in the United States of entertainment, entertainment is king, and that interview was pretty entertaining, and that's why it's received the massive amount of coverage that it has.
All right, but there's another reason why it was covered as entertainment is because the liberal newspapers and our competition on cable and on broadcast doesn't want to give Fox News legitimacy. So they know, as I said in the Talking Points memo, that many consider us the most powerful news agency in the world. They don't want to give us more credibility so that if they have to cover us, and they did, they're going to cover us in an entertainment or a snarky way. Would you disagree with that?
No, there was some snarkiness, there's no question, and I would offer up this advice. Take a vanilla milkshake, take a sip of it, and then follow the advice you gave Donald Trump. Turn the other cheek and forgive these people who have been snarky to you.
I didn't make a big deal out of it, and I'm glad you... Absolutely the best. Now, the reason that I injected the vanilla milkshake into the debate, so that if people don't know, and there was actually a picture in the Daily News, New York Daily News, of me sitting at Yankee Stadium with Trump, and both of us drinking vanilla milkshakes. Now, a lot of people didn't know what I was talking about, but what I was trying to do was use a sense of humor to Trump, because I knew he would get it right away, to cajole him into being responsible and showing up at the debate so people could take his measure.
Right.
I don't drink. Trump doesn't drink. So that when we're at the game, instead of getting beers, we get milkshakes. And inevitably, I wind up paying for them. All right? So that's what that was all about.
But for months you've been saying that one of the reasons Donald Trump is successful is because he doesn't care what anybody thinks. And last night he proved it. He doesn't even care what you think. No matter how much you tried to guilt him, you tried to guilt him with those vanilla milkshakes. It didn't matter. I mean, you talk about his independence and his toughness. He showed the evidence of that last night. The milkshakes didn't matter. The cajoling, the imploring, the beseeching, none of that mattered. I mean,
he didn't have a good...
Donald Trump.
There's more to it, though.
For all I know, Donald Trump, knowing Donald Trump, he may still show up at this thing before it's all over. But all
who's the man behind our curtain? And here he is. It's what's my line. But what I wanted him to do, and what he didn't do, and this is what politicians do all the time, was say, look, I said you owe it to the country to do this, because the country, you're running for president, and a lot of the people don't really know yet, who you are or what you want, and you owe it to them to be there in these kind of situations, even if you think it's tough.
Okay,
he didn't answer that.
Let me just make a quick observation about that. It didn't come off to me so much as a political interview as a spat between two old buddies, and a very, very, very public spat. As far as the journalism is concerned, you and I just disagree on this. I don't think it's a good idea for a journalist, even an opinion journalist, giving advice to anybody running for president of the United States. It just causes problems. But we disagree, and reasonable people, as they say,
you can look at it as advice giving, but I look at it as looking out for the folks. I want the electorate to elect the next time around the best possible candidate. Therefore, I want all the candidates to get as much exposure as possible. As I said in the talking points memo, and I believe this firmly, people voted for Barack Obama. They had no blanking clue who they were voting for. None. And I don't want it to happen again. So you could say it's advice giving, but I'm saying I'm looking out for the folks.
But you don't think that's an unreasonable interpretation? I mean, I know what you're saying, but I'm not.
Yeah.
This is not.
Do
a
I think
crazy
it's unreasonable? No, I don't think it's unreasonable. But do I take it seriously?
You know, Bill, I hope it goes up your nose that.
Good line, Goldberg. Show him what you're drinking. Show him what you're drinking before the interview, right now.
Red Bull.
Look at that. See? He can't just come on as a normal person. He's got to be stoked. All right.
Hey, listen, without a Red Bull, I'd fall asleep during the segment.
You know what, Bernie? Just take the red out of that, and you got it. I want you to watch the debate. We'll check in with you later on this week about winners and losers and how everybody behaved. And, you know, it's always an adventure talking to Bernie Goldberg. And this is a good time to tell you that we are tweeting mostly about politics at O'Reilly Factor. At O'Reilly Factor. Tweet. We hope you check it out. Dana Perino on deck. She'll tell us what should happen in the big debate just moments away.